on a Sunday morning. Give you a little different view of loading corn, seeing as we're here. If I get my zoom button to cooperate. Yeah, I could crawl up on the front and give you that view too, but you're not going to get it, because I don't feel like crawling up on the front. My hip is killing me today. But for you non-farmers, that's what the inside of a dump trailer looks like. And obviously this chute that we just opened is how they dump it out. Look at that, educational on a Sunday morning. It's chilly this morning too, it's in the 20s. Which is good because it's finally helping to start. Whoop, got my glove. Helping to start firm the driveway back up here from the mess we made from it being freaking 40s and raining. Yeah, that sucked. But loading this out for a Monday morning delivery. Alrighty, I just went to check, see what's left in that one. At about 3.5 rings. So anyways, and this one we haven't done anything with yet, so it's full. There's still, I don't know, between 3,000 and 4,000 bushels left in my bean bin. So I loaded 2 loads of beans here out of the bean bin. I don't know, today's the 7th, 8th maybe, January, something like that. So I loaded 2 loads of beans out of there between Christmas and New Year's. All right, so you can see how the auger's set up here. Tractor backs up here. So usually I'm on this side of the tractor, so I don't see, you know, the back of the truck the greatest. All right, well, as you can see what I'm walking forward towards here kind of pisses me off. I loaded those 2 trucks to go to Canada. They were Canada drivers. Yeah, well, we got a bushel or so, a couple, 2-3 bushels. I scraped some off into the field, onto the ground here, because, well, when he was backed under the auger, whee, wind was blowing wrong this morning, blowing the freaking bees wings. That's what you call them, bees wings. For you non-farmers, the little fines. I'll show them to you. There's actually some on the ground. So anyways, the trailer I just showed you, that's called a coal chute for you non-farmers in the back. So that truck raises up, dumps out the back. There's different kinds of trucks. There's hopper bottoms where it's like a cone, couple of cones on the bottom of the truck, but they're not really cone shaped, but you know what I mean, gravity feed. They just crank the doors open, the corn feeds out. Truck never has to be lifted up, not that type of truck. Then there's the walking floor where the floor goes back and forth and moves the grain to the back. These are what I'm talking about, bees wings. The little purple colored fines that blow around. Anyways, the walking floor. Then there's one that's, best way to describe it is kind of like a shit spreader, where the chain just, you know, goes around. It's got paddles on it that brings it back. Well, the guy that had that truck, the Canadian guy, it was one that unloaded from the back, but it was under. Like, hard to explain, but he didn't have the gate closed all the way. Yeah. So I was on the other side of the trailer. He filled the front. Oh, and for those who have asked questions in the comments, why do they fill the front of the trailer first? Day like today wouldn't have mattered. Driveway's firmed up because it's in the 20, low to mid 20s. There's no ice, no snow. Majority of the time, they load the front of the trailer first because that puts all the weight on their drive tires so that they can move and they're not spinning if there's a little bit of ice or snow. That's why they load the front first. But anyways, he loaded the front first, pulled ahead. He was up on his trailer watching. I was on the other side of the tractor, but I happened to come around the tractor and I see beans about waist high piling in the back and kind of underneath the back axles. Yeah, so I went and shut it off real quick, started yelling at him, and he's like, huh, must be I didn't close it all the way. So anyways, that's why my hip still hurts, because we ended up shoveling, or I ended up, because the pile on the back of his truck was so big, he couldn't back the truck up because he would back up over the pile of beans. So I got a wheelbarrow, and I wheelbarrowed from down there up around the tractor and dumped it into the other side of the hopper, because obviously I can't get in this side because of the discharge from this auger. They both unload into the same hopper. And he stood up there on the back of his truck where the stuff comes out of the auger with a shovel, deflecting it forward because the pile was so big. Somehow I think I got the shit job out of that. And man, my hip has been killing me ever since. I'm going to the chiropractor twice a week, so hopefully he gets me straightened around. But so that's what happens when a truck driver leaves wherever he was the last time dumping, doesn't close his gate no matter what kind of gate it is, and then gets here and we start filling. And yes, for those of you who will say, well, you should have checked his truck. No, this is my job right here. I mean, if I have to check everyone's truck too, now I've got to the point I asked, like this kid, when we went and filmed through the back, through the coal chute for you, as we walked back up here, I jokingly said, you did close that, didn't you? He started laughing and said yes. So that's why we ended up with some beans on the ground. We shoveled up what we could, but it was right when we got all that 50-degree weather. The snow melted, it rained, the driveway was a shithole. So basically I couldn't scoop up that little bit, couple bushel on the ground there that was left, because it was just sitting in melted, wet, rainy, snowy shit. So yeah. All right, back in the shop. Got the tractor put away. Warmer in here, chilly outside, but starting to, I don't know, like a very light snow out. We ain't supposed to get much. And unfortunately, during the week, they show some 40s, chances of rain. This winter is just shit so far. Shit for riding snowmobile, that's for sure. But alright, so now I'm gonna finish this video. Probably piss a few people off, but I don't know, I guess I'm good at that. By now you've all, you know, I would think everyone in this country, if not everyone in this world, unless you're homeless and never see a TV or hear a radio, saw and heard about, you know, what happened to the Buffalo Bills player there, Damar Hamlin. Been all sorts of shit going around on social media, you know, and I agree with some of it, you know. If you ask the question, did he get the hokey pokey dart? And I'm sure some of you have seen some of the social media posts. I saw the one somebody put up of, and I don't know if it's true or not, I can't verify it, but it supposedly was this kid's doctor saying that he's had multiple hokey pokey darts and got a booster on the 26th of December. Whether it's true or not, I don't know. It, you know, supposedly was his doctor that put this post up. But here's my question. When are we going to have a true conversation about all this? I mean, we're assholes if we ask that question, but it was okay to ask all of us, you know, whether we are or not, and you had to have a passport like New York City to be able to eat in a fucking restaurant. So it's okay to ask us, you know, horrible non-believers, we'll say, but it's not okay to ask that question and have that conversation when we see what's going on, not just in this country, but around the world, with athletes from like high school right through professional, soccer, football, tennis, basketball, you name it, that are collapsing. And now you see these, I put a thing on my Instagram story because it blew my mind, these headlines that are coming out now recently of You know, climate change is causing heart conditions. If you sit for 8 hours at your job, that could cause heart conditions, which, maybe it can. I don't know. If you don't get any exercise and you're just sit on your ass all day and do nothing. But just some of the shit they're coming out. If you're dehydrated, that can cause heart conditions. It's like they're trying to make an excuse for the one. I think the dehydration one, I can't remember. If you follow me on Instagram, go look at my story. The dehydration, actually, let me open my phone. The dehydration one said something about can cause, blood clots. Imagine that. Oh, well, I think it's gone already, because my stuff on Instagram, and I've noticed other people too, when you put stuff like that up on Instagram, doesn't stay as long as what other stuff does. They get rid of it quickly. And that leads me to my other point of, why weren't we all given all the information so we could weigh the pros and cons and make an educated decision on our own, rather than be basically forced to make a decision? Why are all the doctors and scientists that have been against the hokey pokey shot saying, whoa, slow your roll, something ain't right here? Why have they all been silenced? Why have they all been thrown off of social media? Why have they all been threatened to lose their medical licenses and their professions and all this? Why is this the biggest one-sided science that we're supposed to follow that we've ever seen in history? I mean, I don't know about where you live, but every third commercial here is Pfizer. Get your hokey pokey shot, get your boosters, take the pill. Oh, if you've got the vid, talk to your doctor about taking the miracle pill that they made to cure you within a few months too. Just like the miracle hokey pokey dart that they made in a few months' time. If there's really a pandemic, do we need to be reminded of it? And let's not forget something that's got over a 99% survival rate. But I don't understand when we're going to have the serious conversation. How many people have to drop on a field with a heart condition? Let me ask you this. Okay, I've been a Pittsburgh Steelers fan all my life. My father was a Cleveland Browns fan, so it was kind of fun growing up because they were in the same division, the AFC North, and we'd go back and forth. But I can remember as a kid, being born in the 60s, watching the Steelers of the 70s win their 4 Super Bowls. I remember when they drafted Bradshaw. I remember the Immaculate Reception game with Franco against the Raiders and all that. Has anyone ever seen someone drop on the field from heart failure, a heart condition like that? Because in all the 50 plus years that I've watched football, and was old enough to understand it, I don't remember it. And we're seeing it in all sports. Basketball, like I said, soccer. I mean, yes, we've seen, y'all remember Darryl Stingley, the hit he took to get paralyzed? Oh, what was that guy's name for the Raiders? He was a huge hitter, big, back in the days of the Raiders and their defense. Jack Tatum. He was a bad dude and played English. We all remember seeing the Joe Theismann broken leg, compound fracture. That was nasty. Ooh, bone sticking right out. We all see what happened to Alex Smith. Washington Redskins. Yes, I'm still gonna say it. Same thing with Theismann. I remember, like I said, being a Steelers fan, growing up watching Terry Bradshaw being smashed on his head and being carted off with a concussion and all that. This hit wasn't even that severe looking, but take that and just throw that away. Never mind the hit. Have you ever seen that happen to a player? I mean, I remember Cincinnati Bearcats, college football. I can't remember the kid's name, but I remember that kid that got paralyzed playing football. I mean, it's a violent sport, but how often in the last 50 years have you seen a football player, a tennis player, a soccer player, whatever, drop to the field with a heart condition. You know, the headlines that well, you don't see it on mainstream media, of course, because they want to keep pushing the narrative, but you'll see it on social media. You'll see it on, you know, maybe Newsmax or OAN, some of the smaller news outlets and whatnot, of, you know, high school kids that have same thing.
I'm not sure I understand.
Shut up, Siri. I just, like I said, why can't everyone have all the information, weigh the pros and cons to make an educated decision? Why is this got to be the most one-sided so-called science? And how well is the science working? When Dr. Fucky, you know, our good buddy Lord Fauci and Walensky there, the college professor who's running the CDC and all them, have been on national television, MSNBC, CNN, all the libtard channels, and literally said, get the hokey pokey shot, you can't get the vid. You can't, it gets to you and it stops. You can't spread it, you can't get sick, you can't end up in the hospital, you can't take a dirt nap. Is that not disinformation when they all came out with that? And then when that shit started happening, they had to move the goalpost and say, well, it was designed to give you lesser symptoms. Please, folks, use this. I mean, are you fucking kidding me? Lesser symptoms? Was the polio vaccine made to give you lesser polio? Was the measles made to give you lesser measles? And go back to all those vaccines. When were they made? Most of them were made years after the actual disease, or whatever you want to call it, came out, because they had to study it. They had to figure out how to make it, which is why the numbers plummeted before they came out with those vaccines, because of natural immunity, which we're told doesn't exist anymore. But we're not allowed to ask those questions. We're not allowed to ask whether somebody that has a heart issue like this got it or not. But it was okay to ask everybody, oh, you got it? You can't come in this building unless you got it. No, you can't eat in that restaurant unless you got it. That was okay. I mean, I don't give two shits which side of it you're on. Never got it, never will. If for some ungodly reason, and I can't see it happening now, they ever come out and it's like, you know, they're going to come to your door with the military to force you to get it, well, I guess we know what's going to happen there with a lot of people, because ain't fucking happening. But whether you believe in it and you want to get 10, 12 of them, whatever, you be you, I'll be me. But why can't we have that intelligent conversation and ask those questions and listen to the people, the doctors and scientists that were great doctors and scientists before this, but because they disagreed with it, oh, they're shit now. They don't know their ass from a hole in the ground. Give me a break. It's kind of like the whole Franco Harris thing here a few weeks ago. I remember seeing on, because I followed him on Instagram, I think it was October of 21, where he said he had a discussion with his doctor and he decided to get it. And he recommended everyone to do that and whatnot and blah, blah, blah. And the week of the Immaculate Reception 50th anniversary, he was doing different celebrations and stuff. But what was it, 2 or 3 days before the actual game where they were going to have a big celebration, he mysteriously passed away. And it's always natural causes, they say, when these people do. Natural causes. Really? Okay. But, I mean, all I want to do is have the conversation that we're not allowed to have, because isn't the definition of science where you, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm no scientist, I'm just a dumb dirt farmer now, you know, but don't you run the same hypothesis over and over again, if that's what they call it, until you get a consistent result? Is that what's happened here? Have we gotten a consistent result? Because I don't think so. Not when you got to move the goalpost. When you tell us one thing, that doesn't work out. So, well, we got to switch it, say a different thing. Isn't science just a big debate until you come to a consensus? There's no debate here. It's shut everybody down. Shut up. You don't know what you're talking about, doctor. what so-and-so and scientist so-and-so because you don't agree with our narrative. Let's have that conversation.
I didn't get that. Could you try again?
Oh my God, I know. Turn Siri off. Some of you have said it, but all right, I'm done. And one more thing, just to be perfectly clear, I pray to God that kid from the Buffalo Bills is fine. I pray to God he has a long life. He may never play football again. I don't know, but that's not what it's all about. I'm sure he'd love to play football again, and if he can, that's great. But the biggest thing is hopefully he has a good long life with his family and friends. I hope everybody who decided to get it, everything works out and everyone is fine. I mean, I don't want people thinking that, and some of you will, and that's fine, you haters. Slim Pickens, he's the latest hater. I think he took over for Willie and Gigi. But, I am an asshole for saying all these things. I'm always the asshole because I'm willing to say the things that a lot of people think but won't say. And that's fine. I get it. Some people, you are who you are. I am who I am. But I don't wish ill on anyone. I pray everyone, it works out for them. And some of you watching have contacted me and told me the stories things that have happened to you since it's happened and you wish you didn't and all that. And then there's those that are going to still say they'll keep getting as many as they tell them, and that's fine. Like I said, I hope it all works out for everyone. I'm not wishing ill on anyone. But there's also those that have got it and say they'll never get another one because now they see a lot of the stuff that's coming out. And they wish they had known that ahead of time. And that's all I've said from day one, and that's what I'm saying now. Why can't we have that conversation? Why can't we all see the pros, the cons, like I say on this channel, the good, the bad, and the ugly, to make your decisions. But so God be with this kid. I hope it all works out. God be with all of you. I hope it works out. I'm not, I don't go to church every week. I'm not a Bible thumper, but I do believe in God. So did this happen for a reason? So that everybody, tens of millions of people could see it on national TV to maybe start that conversation? I don't know. But all right, now I'm out.